There you go. Dude. Whoa, why did it go to? Okay, there you go. There you are. Never mind.
Cool.
There it is. Okay, here we go. Earnestly podcast coming to you with a special guest today in the pod. It's my old lead singer of my old band, Sense of Being. Drew Dilullo is with us after fucking 10 years, over 10 years. I haven't seen your face in 10 years.
Who's keeping score, right?
Someone
Hey,
is.
yo.
Hey, yo. Was that Scott Hall?
My boy. I
Yeah,
love me some Razor.
that's right, man. How you doing?
Great, man. Life's really good. We haven't talked in a while, so
Yeah,
quite a bit has changed, as you can
yeah.
imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Um, well, first and foremost, I'm not living in the Sunshine State, even though I'm pretty sure I have more sunshine than you right now.
Yeah, we're
11 o'clock at night.
yeah we're
Yeah.
about approaching midnight soon. So
Yeah, that's wild, dude. Thanks for staying up late for me, man. I was
no, it's
kind of
good.
worried when you were like, "Yeah, I want to do it at do it around this time on Sunday, May 2nd." I was like, "Shit, dude, I don't get off work till like 8 o'clock, which basically puts you at like 11, 12 o'clock, But
Well,
that's cool.
let me tell you, my wrestling podcast I do on Thursdays, we start at about 10 to 11 o'clock. So I'm pretty used to late night grinds. Because my kids they don't go to sleep till at least about 9:30, and then I have like that couple like 2 hours to myself to do whatever. So
Yeah.
I try to squeeze it in when I can. So yeah, you were saying okay. So you were saying you're no longer in Florida. Obviously, we've known it for a long time, but like you look happier, you sound happier, you look like
Yeah.
when we
Life's
talk
great,
now, it's
dude.
like you're just different, like a changed man now, man.
Yeah, it's well, 10 years will do that. But I mean, yeah, dude, a lot of learning experiences, a lot of
Yeah,
mistakes, but a lot of learning experiences and just applying that knowledge to future, more sensible decisions.
yeah, yeah. When did you gain the cigar habit? Because you never were into cigars when we were in the
So,
band together.
so I'll tell you the story with this. So, just for the respect of people's privacy,
Hmm.
um, I had a friend that had a medical issue about a year ago almost,
Hmm.
and it was right around the same time my wife was expected to give birth, and so we actually had my son like 1 month early, and let's just say like this situation was a tremendous stressor. And so my wife's best friend's husband uh, bought a couple cigars for my wedding, and I never touched them. We just never got around to smoking them. And they were a couple Cohiba Blacks. And like, I don't really drink anymore at all. The only time I do, like, occasionally I'll sip on a beer, and like occasionally, like, I'll have a little bit of bourbon to go with one of my stogies or something. Nothing crazy though. That's really just purely for accenting flavor. So like, I hate feeling like shit when I wake up in the morning, and with the kind of work that I do, it's not really something that's conducive to that. Like, you just have to be alert like all the time.
Right.
So
Right.
I was just super stressed out, and I was like, dude, I need something to cool my jets right now, because I was just having like all sorts of anxiety between, the post pregnancy and what to expect from that, and then the shit that was going on with the medical stuff. So I grabbed a couple of the Cohibas, and I came outside, and I was just hanging out with my wife, because we have like patio time. It's like our husband wife time outside of other shit, and we just kind of have like we just talk and hang out and whatever. And so I came out, and I had one, and I was like, this is super relaxing. I love this. So kind of got into that world a little bit, and took the plunge, so to speak. And I'm not an aficionado by any means, but
So wait,
I like,
so this is recent, right? This is a recent thing you added the
oh,
cigar.
within the last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think-
But right now I'm smoking the My Father Judge, which is really, really badass. I love this thing.
Yeah.
It's first one I've ever had, but the flavor on this is really good.
So
If
like
anybody,
yeah, so like me like I once in a blue moon I'll partake in cigars here and there. I think the last one I had was like back in September, October, I think though.
yeah,
Once in a while, like New Year's, maybe a special occasion, you know. Never really much of a smoker, honestly. I mean, you know that already.
yeah, same here.
Yeah,
Same here. I mean, like, it's crazy. Like, I don't find myself to be addicted to these by any means, but
it's good.
not physically, but like mentally, I'm just like, I long for the 1 hour where I can just come on my patio after like a hard day work and just chill out and have a little bit of me time and hit the pause button for a minute, you know?
You logging more? Are you logging in 40 plus a week?
Oh yeah, 50 sometimes. Right now, overtime's really good. So,
Right.
oh yeah. No, AAA takes really good care of me, man. They're a great company to work for. Finally got out of that retail shit.
Dude,
Uh,
retail's the worst. We both hated it.
After 12 years. Well, you know, I came up here. So when I first moved here in 2013,
Right.
um, I had an opportunity to go work for a company with my roommates, and that kind of fell through. So I went to work for Lowe's again. I was like, all right, well, I already made the commitment to come up here, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And I was only gonna stay there temporarily because I was like, part of the reason of coming up here and doing what I'm doing is to kind of reinvent myself a little bit, get away from just the stink of
Yeah, you
things.
were over well, you were over Florida for a long time. Even before we lost contact, you were over Florida. I mean, for a good while.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it was the music scene and my family, and things like that that kind of kept me around. I mean, it was. I mean, from a purely financial standpoint, coming up here was the best thing I ever did because I got a lateral move with the company I was at, Lowe's, obviously. They gave me like a $5 an hour pay increase, and I was doing the same job. And the cost of living at the time here was a lot cheaper. Like between my electric bill, which went from like $200 to like $50, $60, to my car insurance, which went from 200 down to $70 because at the time people didn't drive like shit up here. Um, so it was just stuff like that, dude. All those little like cuts and gashes you get every month, the micro bills, stuff like that. And then you factor all that in, and it added up, man. I was able to comfortably live. I haven't struggled really at all since I've been here, and I'm grateful to be able to say that. Because it's not like not a lot of people can these days. But like with AAA, ever since I made that plunge over with AAA, like I haven't been out of work a single day ever since COVID hit. Man, we were we were the essential ones.
Are you guys like short on people? Because I had a situation last week Monday when my car broke down and the tow truck was supposed to be there 2 hours after it happened, and it didn't come till almost 5 hours after the incident. Is that something that's kind of like a thing with a short um employees?
So AAA is weird. Um, every state has its own club. So think of it like a bunch of micro subsidiary companies that are part of the main umbrella AAA. So not every state or like county has its own fleet. Like I work directly for the company, but a lot of states and a lot of clubs use contractors, and those contractors basically operate their own towing companies. So they're doing their own shit like repossessions, rotation, things like that, in addition to handling AAA calls. So that's part of the problem. It's not so much that we're short staffed by any means. It's just I mean, the US is a pretty big place, right? So for them to actually have like tow drivers and service drivers in every corner of the country is like virtually impossible. So they have to contract out. And so that's where a lot of that, like the notorious, like I waited 4 hours on the freeway comes from. Like Washington has really good wait times because I work for an internal fleet, which consists of like 75 drivers. But yeah, it's killer, man. It's a fucking awesome job.
It's funny because like even back when 'cause we were together in the band from 2004 to 2009, right? I think 9, maybe 10.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you technically count the off years, yeah,
Yeah,
about that point.
you were saying back then that your destination was to go to Seattle.
Yeah,
That
that
was
was
your goal.
yeah. James sold me on it, man.
Your best friend
Uh,
James, right? Your brother.
yep. He sold me on it. He's living up here again.
Yeah.
He was actually in the Philippines for a year or so, and then came back to the country. He had quite a story, but he's back in town, and so we hang out occasionally. He's got his
So he's
life.
near you now. He lives near you.
Yeah, he's about a half hour south of me.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. So like I mean, it's so cool though, man, because like it's good to see like people who want to get somewhere and they get to that place that they were always wanting to go to. Like this is like to me. I mean, that's like at least a 8-year odyssey for you. That Seattle, Washington is the place I want to be at some point, and
Yeah,
then one day to say, well, fuck it, I'm just gonna go and just do it. And now you've been there 8 years, and for all looks of things, you've been happy. You have a family now. That dude, you're a dad. That's awesome. First
yeah,
off, can I
wild,
say
right?
that?
Who would have thought? These poor kids.
How it's funny because we look at it into this prism, the sense of being prism, the being the band and writing songs and performing. We never ever thought about the idea of having children one day, getting married, having children. How is it being a dad now, man? Like, how is it?
Oh, it's amazing, dude. It's like, and it happens quick, as you know. It's like my daughter's gonna be 10 this year, man. It blows my mind. Like I'm literally
Crazy.
like a
10 years old
couple
already.
couple years away from her being a teenager, but she's like super smart. Happy to be back in school. I don't know how Florida's been, but like we just got our kids back to school like full time, and it's not even they're still, I think, she's full time. I was gonna say, I think Fridays. It's hard to keep up with it because like literally our governor continues to like shift shit around like every other day.
No,
So
our governor is full speed ahead. He's like, as though COVID doesn't exist almost. we so we kept hours out of school part of the year, which Eli, our oldest son, ended up struggling a little bit um as a result. And then when we got COVID in January, by the way, was just me. It was me and my wife and my 2 kids all got it at
yeah,
the same
listen to
time.
that podcast, dude. I'm glad you're all right, dude.
Yeah.
Shit, I was worried
But
about you, man.
yeah, the kids are fine. The kids had no effect to it. Nothing. You know? But we said, well, here it is. We go to work, whatever, but we do all the protocols, we do social distancing, all that. We follow all the rules, and yet we still get COVID. Well, fuck it. You go back to school, dude. Because his grades suffered for a while too. That's as a result. That's why his grades suffered.
Yeah, it sucks, dude. It's so Freya actually had to go. So she does counseling. And at first, like, her mom and I, like, we talked about it, and like, Crystal and I, like, we're not together, but we're actually really, really good friends and great co-parents. Like, we don't mess around with courts or anything like that. Like, we're pretty much like, she lives about an hour south of me, and we just do what's right for the kid. And so
You
we
guys
we have
split
a
time with
pretty
the kid? How you guys do the schedule?
it's completely up in the air. We balance it out by, we do holidays together. Like my wife and son go over her house and we do
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Thanksgiving. Yeah, we do all
That's
that, dude.
rare.
Yeah, dude. We work really hard, dude, because at the end of the day, it's for her.
Right.
It's not about us. It's not about like our feelings about stuff, which her and I get along okay. Like, we're good friends. Like we're fucking terrible in a relationship, but I mean, like that whole thing was a fucking mess to begin with.
Right.
But like we won't get into that. But
You don't have to get into that. That's okay.
but no, we're good friends, dude. We do really well for our daughter, and like her and my wife get along really good. I get along really good with her boyfriend. We smoke cigars together, talk shop and shit. Ever
Nice
since I
bonding
got
experience there.
yeah. So I mean, like, we do good. We do really good with her. But yeah, she had to go to. She still sees a therapist as a result of it because, what actually killed me was we went to a park one day, and so Freya's always been a social butterfly, like the complete opposite of me. Like I was totally like at her age, I was super introverted. Like I didn't really have good social skills at all. And
Yeah, you wouldn't know that when we were doing what we were doing back in the day.
yeah, no, that was like Pandora's box, man. Yeah, we'll touch on that. Trust
Oh, I
me.
can't
But
wait.
yeah, so we went to a park, man, and there were all these kids hanging out, and she's never had a problem ever making friends, hanging out with kids. Like, she loves hanging out with kids younger than her, older than her. I mean, all different flavors. It doesn't matter. She just loves hanging around with other kids, and she'll get along with anybody. But what killed me was we went to this park and like we're like, hey, go play, and she couldn't fucking do it. It was like she literally could not like hang out with these kids, and it was like I understand some of that has to do with aging and, kids change. They're always in flux. You never really know. Like, the things happen, they go through phases, etc. But it just felt like the timing along with seeing that, it was like, wow, dude, that was fucking horrible. I didn't know what to say. So she kind of goes and has private time with a therapist just to kind of work on, her feelings and things like that. Because as much as she's kind of extroverted, like she has always kind of had a hard time talking about feelings and stuff and whatnot. So I have to sit down and always tell her like, hey, if you can talk, you can always talk to us, and you're never going to get in trouble just for talking and being honest and saying your piece. But we try to respect her personal privacy too.
And
But
this is a recent thing, right? During COVID,
yeah,
like this
all during
situation,
COVID. Yep.
right? And that's the thing with this whole situation. It's been such a culture shock in some ways, like such a adjustment, if you will,
Yeah.
and mostly for our kids. Like seeing our
Yeah.
kids wearing masks and all that. I mean, it's not normal. Obviously, you just do it because it do what's best for the situation. But God, I
Yeah.
mean,
Well,
this last year has been such a teachable thing for all of us.
I
At
agree.
least, I mean, forget all the political bullshit. Whatever it is, what it is with that. But just the bare bones of how to be a regular person, how to treat people, how to just go
Yeah.
about your every day. You know, I have I will say I'm a lot more grateful for a lot of things maybe I wasn't grateful for before this whole thing. Now, granted, I'm not gonna lie, me personally, I adjusted well to the COVID. I adjusted pretty well. Like I like being home. I was out of work for 10 weeks, so it wasn't hard for me to be home and you know binge
Yeah.
TV shows, watch WWE Network all day, spend time with my kids and my wife. Because I gotta tell you, leading into that, and I did the whole podcast on this back in last year. Leading to this whole damn thing, my wife and I was go 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 go, for a good year or two prior to COVID. So
Yeah.
it allows us to slow down for a little bit and to kind of take some stock in some things.
Yeah. Oh, I agree with you, man. Like, the problem I had, dude, and I'm fighting this right now, and it sucks. So, like me, like, my family, like genetically, dude, we're bigger people, right? So it's like that greaseball blood, dude. It's just what it is.
You're Italian,
And
come on.
so,
I
uh,
get it. It's okay.
yeah. So I lose weight really fast, but I gain it really fast, dude. So like my wife and I were doing cardio kickboxing because I fucking love boxing, dude. It's like the best thing in the
It's
world.
the
I
best thing.
suck at it. I fucking suck at it, but I enjoy doing it. I love being in like a boxing studio and just going ham and it's a really good way to exercise. Like you burn like twice the calories that you would just doing boring cardio. So my wife and I dropped like a shit ton of weight and like we were feeling good, we were doing great, and then like overnight it's like no, gyms are closed indefinitely, and the studio that I was going to was a subsidiary of LA Fitness, so they kind of rented space from them, so they essentially went under, so they're not coming back, which really sucks. It was I mean, it was an hour of hell, and we forced ourselves to do it. Like I would work 10 hours, dude, and then I would get off work and rush home, get my gym clothes on to get to the gym before the class would start every night. And we did that like 3, 4 times a week. And we had amazing results. But yeah, dude, when the lockdowns and everything hit, it was like, okay, what's open? Okay, so I did a lot of quarantine eating. So I'm
Yeah,
having to working on getting rid of that now.
that was the running joke for the first couple of weeks while we were in quarantine was that we were in an open relationship with our fridge.
Yeah, it's an
Jesus.
abusive relationship, dude. It really is.
And what
It's a
sucked,
love
yeah,
love hate.
and what sucked for me back then too is like at that time I had just started doing intermittent fasting, so I was doing really well with that. I had really, and at the time I was looking really well, and then that thing just threw the whole fucking thing off of its hinges.
Yeah, intermittent fasting is honestly, it's the best thing you could do. I tried doing keto for a while. Lewis, my old roommate, did keto and had a lot of luck with it. I did it and it almost killed me. Like it was, I was like having bloody noses and shit in the morning, and it was actually really messing with my body, cutting
Oh
all those
wow,
carbs out. Yeah, I don't know.
you
My
know
body
why?
just couldn't tell you.
Mm.
I couldn't tell you. Like my blood pressure at the time, my blood pressure was good. Right now, it's not so good, but I'm working on it. um,
But that was during keto, you said, right? During keto.
During keto, yeah.
Might have been a
So
might have been a shock to the body, I guess, because keto is pretty extreme in terms of, you know, like you can't eat certain foods and this and that, and you can eat meat. Isn't that one with meat with no bread or something like that? Or
it's zero carb. It's high fats and like moderate protein, but zero
yeah,
carbs. Typically,
right, right.
it's actually a lot harder than you think, dude. You would think, okay, well, just cut out the bread, cut out this, cut out
Oh no,
that.
no, it's hard. I ain't doing it.
Even vegetables, you have carbs in them, so it's like you're limited by so much. And like it was really hard to stay on that diet, not because it was hard to do it. It actually, like, believe it or not, it actually killed my hunger. Like, it was really good at like satiating my hunger. Like, I was never hungry on the diet, but it was like when it came time to eat, it was like, okay, I'm gonna eat this piece of cheese and this cured meat, and that's pretty much it. That's like all I could eat. And I was like, yeah, it was like cheese and salami and
Right.
like I forget what else, but you have to take like all kinds of other stuff to balance out your electrolytes too. Like, you have to take salt, or you have to take potassium. Like, there's all kinds of stuff because it messes with your electrolytes.
Yeah.
And I just kind of found that wasn't really, sustainable for me. So I went to one meal a day, intermittent fasting, and I actually lost more weight on that because I was basically eating like I'd wake up and like eat a sandwich, and then I'd fast the whole rest of the day. Like, I go to Jimmy John's or something and eat like a roast beef sandwich, which was like 900 calories,
Right.
and then like a snack, and then that would be it. But it worked. I mean, I mean,
Which is
not the most.
kind of like intermittent fasting, but intermittent fasting can put you more control what you want to eat,
Yeah.
gives your body time to recover. Like I know the most popular one is 8-16, 8 on, 16 off.
Yep.
For me, I find it harder because of the fact that my schedule, I need I need at least an extra hour on either side. So 10-14 is kind of what I do now.
Yeah. I mean, it's whatever works for you, man. Whatever you get whatever gives you results. It's just being like 35 now. It's like I'm kind of at that point where it's
35.
like, yeah, I know, dude. I know.
40 fucking one. I want to hear shit from you.
I hear you. My drummer's he's pushing 40 right now. So, I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
It's we're both, I mean, both of us actually, my drummer Jay, I'm just going to refer to him as Jay for the rest of this podcast. But
Hey Jay, what's up, buddy? Is he, I gotta see him. Speaking of that, the band, how's the band? I mean, you guys have not done anything pretty much since COVID, right? Obviously.
yeah, we've been practicing. It's the most
Okay.
passive project I've ever been a part of, in a good way, because we all have like there's this mutual respect of like we all have responsibilities and boundaries and things like that have to be respected.
Are they all parents too?
So Sean's a parent. Darren, my bassist, has a couple stepkids, and him and his wife have they're always constantly on vacation or doing stuff, and it's just one of those things where it's like we put family first, and that's kind of a mutually respected aspect of the band, because we've been jamming since the end of 2015. It's
Oh wow.
actually
Okay.
technically the biggest band I've ever been in. It's
Yeah.
just, for us, it's like we acknowledge that we love doing music, but at the same time, we stay in our lane. It's like we love going out and doing shows and priming for other bands and doing stuff like that. If there's a headlining band and they want us to be a part of the show, like, we'll put on a killer show. I mean, I feel like our shows are just as killer as they were, at least, I feel like I'm sounding better than I have in a long time, which is good. And me, like, I'm always uptight about, my personal sound and things of that
Oh
nature. So
God. You and I had
yeah,
arguments for years on that one. It's like loosen up, Drew. You okay? You sound good.
yeah, dude. I mean, yeah. So I mean, they love what's up with my sound and everything, and we just have that mutual respect, man. That's what it's all about for us. So we do stuff off and on. Right now, we're writing for just a full length, actually. So I never recorded a full length before. So
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
I'm kind of excited to do that with
Did
these
you
guys.
find it hard adjusting to okay, well, in my 20s it was about, we're in a band and that's the one priority. We're trying to make it, and fuck the world. We're gonna go move forward, and we're just gonna destroy it on our path, whatever. And now you kind of just kind of turned it to more a priority based thing where like, well, I love music, but I have a balance between that and my family. Was that
No,
hard?
it wasn't hard at all, dude. No, it wasn't hard making that adjustment, because it was, you have to remember too, man. Like I after SOB kind of went on hiatus after, what was it, Ernesto had another black day he was doing,
Correct.
and all that. It was easier for me at that point to accept, like, okay, like we had our chance at it, and we said, I feel like we said what we had to say. I mean, was it the desired outcome at the time? No, but I do firmly believe that, from a metaphorical standpoint, like the band served its purpose to all four of us.
Yeah.
Like, definitely in the places in life that I feel like we all should be
Yeah,
right
I
now.
agree with you.
Ernesto's really happy doing mimes with his wife, which is really fucking cool, by the way. Like, I
They're
think that,
incredible, by the way. They're really good.
no, they're fantastic, dude. But anything Ernesto puts his mark on is
He
quality.
got shocked when I told him this. There was a thread someone started about a year ago on Facebook. Who were the 5 best guitarists you ever seen? Whatever. And I had like Dave Mustaine and a couple of people there, and I had Ernesto in my top 5, and he was shocked. I was like, no, I don't think you understand. You're phenomenal at what you do. Like
No,
this ain't no bullshit. This is real.
yeah, I mean, dude, it really is. I'm not trying to stroke his ego because it doesn't really need to be
Doesn't need it.
stroked
No, he
any
doesn't need
further.
it.
But I mean, no, I mean, it was a privilege, really, to be in a band with him for as long as we were. I mean, if Ernesto buys into something and he dedicates his time to it, it's going to be quality. I
Yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
nothing that he does is going to be lackluster. He won't do it. He won't be a part of it. If he's not feeling it, or he's not feeling like that vibe, he'll move on. And rightfully so. I mean, he has high standards of himself and the people he plays with. And I respect the hell out of him for that. I
Yeah.
mean, like, him and I had, bitter moments, but I mean, that was all my fault. I mean, I don't put any of that on him. That was just me projecting like my own self-disappointment really on him
Right.
for that. And I can admit that. Like, I'm man enough to admit that. I mean, it's just what it is. After like the whole ABD thing happened, it was like I wasn't so much mad at him for that. I was more mad at myself, and I was kind of putting that out there because I hadn't really done shit for like months up
Right.
until that point to really get things moving. And then the whole thing with my voice and all that kind of fallen by
Yeah.
the wayside. Um, it was a shocker. I mean, it was a really brutal time too. I mean, like, I had to readjust to being on my own, and because I got thrown out of my house. I
Yeah.
wasn't even 20 at that time, dude. I might have been like barely 20. I think it was around. I mean, I was young. I was
Yeah.
very young, and my mom was like, "Yo, like, you did this music thing long enough. It's cool. I gave you a shot, but it's time to fly, Peter Pan. Like, get the fuck out of my house, So,
You and your mom's still cool?
yeah, she moved up here, dude. My mom and my
Oh,
dad are up
awesome.
here. Yeah, it's a crazy story for both of them, dude. She wasn't supposed to end up here,
Hold
but
on. I'm gonna get to that in a second because not to get nosy, but I noticed your dad with a lot of pictures recently too. You and your dad cool also?
yeah, no, we mended a lot of fences.
That's
We're
really cool, man.
yeah, no, I mean it's it was a long time coming, but we mended a lot of fences, and um he's going to be moving in my house when my wife and I buy our house probably next year.
Right.
So right now we have a 5-bedroom rental that we have in Renton, which is like maybe 10 minutes south of Seattle.
Okay.
And, we're moving a little bit further south because that's just where the affordability is right now.
Okay.
But it's actually a nicer area over there, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I came to Washington for Seattle, and I fell in love with like just the region, not so much the city.
That's how it works out sometimes. You come from
Yeah.
one thing and like, oh wait, the other thing's pretty cool though. I didn't know that, No, it's cool because the thing with your dad, like I was very well aware of the relationship with your father growing up. It was not a good one. And but when I remember seeing when you and I started talking again in the last couple of years, I noticed he was in a lot of pictures. I'm like, well, this is kind of cool. I hope this is actually a real thing that he's back in your life and things worked out. Especially now you being a father, he's a grandparent
Yeah.
now, so you know.
Yeah, no, family life is perfect, man. I
Yeah,
mean, you
that's
know,
awesome.
it's been, I have no complaints on that end of things. It's just, right now it's just putting all the pieces together to get our starter home.
Yeah,
Ironically, of course we decided to do it right in the middle of like this lovely bubble that we're experiencing, but
yeah,
it's this is the way it works, right? So, I'm doing we're doing what we can. My wife and I make a really good team, and
yeah.
so
That's
because of
good.
that, like, we have a lot of. I mean, we work really well together with
You
everything.
yeah, you got married. You got married recently. What, 2 years ago? Maybe a year ago.
A year and a half ago.
Year ago. Yeah. How'd you guys meet?
Oh man, are you ready for this, bro? Are you
Go ahead.
ready for this cliche? Are you ready for this cliche shit at
Uh,
work?
at work.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, we were friends for no. So here's the thing: we were friends for like 5 years before we got in a relationship with each other. Though, like we were really tight, and we always just kind of had like we were just cool. She would talk to me about her shit. I'd talk to her about my shit, and we had a really good friendship before we started, which I think really helped overall. Like when things kind of happened the way they did. So it's been no, it's been great. We got together and um, we're really compatible. She's like my rock, I'm her rock, and she knows how to handle me. I know how to kind of handle her and her quirks, and it just works really well. And it's amazing because when she's a perfect example, at least for me. Like when you cut like the toxicity out of your life, it really kind of it shows like the results in your life. When you kind of cut toxic people out in general, and because I had a fair bit of
Yeah.
toxicity prior
Yeah.
to that, which I don't really want to talk too much about.
No, you don't have. No, you don't have to go into that.
But
No, but I mean, but a lot of it too. Also, is again, we had discussions for years. A lot of it was a product of your childhood and how you grew up and stuff, and you had to figure things out on your own on the fly. And I guess, and I commend you for this, especially really deciding to what, I'm gonna get out of this situation, get out of here, this place, and move somewhere else and start fresh. Now, granted, a lot of times you can move somewhere else and still bring that shit with you, but you made a
yeah,
decision to shake shit up, and just kind of beaten path and just move forward, and that's good, man.
yeah, everything's a gamble, right?
Yeah,
Really
absolutely.
everything in life's a gamble. Like driving to work every day is a gamble these days. You never know. It's
Yeah,
like anybody can get their ticket punched at any second. You just never really know.
right.
But it's just yeah. I mean, my whole life up here. I mean, I have gripes about certain things, but I mean, at the end of the day, as far as like how Washington as a whole, my experience up here has treated me, it's been fantastic. I wish Cody would have hung around a little bit longer to experience it though.
Yeah, your boy Cody, man. He moved
He
up there
broke
last year,
my heart.
huh?
He broke my heart, dude. He came over 3 times. He kind of passed my 3-date rule. We were going on date number 4, man, and I was gonna go around. I was gonna do a reach around and seal the deal. And he tells me he's like, fuck this. I'm out of here, man. I need to be 3,000 miles away from this guy. I gotta get me out of here immediately.
What is it with Florida? People hate Florida, and then they. Well, I'm not saying you'll do this. I think it's different for you, but people hate Florida so much they leave Florida, and then they come back. I don't get it.
Um, I mean, honestly, dude, it's like if I look back on it, I mean, I don't hate my time in Florida. Florida does have cool shit that I don't have here. You know, um, I feel like in general there's a little bit more to do down there. Believe it or not, as far as like day to day stuff.
Of
You
course,
know,
yeah.
but it's more peaceful here, which for like where I'm at in my life right now, it
You need
works
that.
out better for me.
You need that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
need the tranquility, dude. I don't need the chaos anymore. So it's like, being in Washington definitely kind of plays to that narrative for me a little bit.
Man, man.
Yeah.
So like I was thinking back some of the stories from our time playing together. Like think about this podcast last week or so. some of the crazy ass stories. Like it's funny because a good portion of that's a blur to me now. Not so much the 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 great times, in terms of like when we were like on the go gigging and just doing the damn thing. I would say between 2007 2008 till when we all just parted ways is a big blur. But as I'm thinking about the stories of the things we did and some of the shit we went through, God, you can write a book.
Yeah.
You can write a book, dude.
I mean, here's the thing, man. Like, I'll explain this from like my angle, because like I look back on it and I'm like, you know, honestly, like I kind of see it as like, how the fuck did anybody deal with me? Like, I don't know how.
You
I
just
really
did.
don't.
You just
Yeah,
went
I
with
mean,
it, bro.
because here's the thing, right? Like I tried piecing this together in my mind like over and over again, like how all of, especially like 04, 05, kind of shook up a little bit and all the insanity. And it's like, I mean, Ernesto wasn't even 18 when you guys were doing the band originally. I mean, he
We
was still in
started
high
in
school.
'03 with another singer. So '03 I was 23.
Yeah.
Ernesto's 5 years behind me. So he was just turned 18. He had just turned 18. No,
Yeah.
that's a lie. Ernesto and I started another band before that. He was 17 at the time.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So,
That
yeah.
adds up. Because I know he's a little bit younger, but just a smidge younger than me, but not much.
Right.
And basically it was just, I don't know, man. Like I went into the project and honest to God, like hands to Jesus, I went in thinking to myself, I'm like, I'm gonna play this cool. I got the phone call. You called me that day in Subway
Yeah.
after that last borderline pathetic show at Lumonics. And, I get that phone call and I was like, because I knew borderline really wasn't gonna last. Nothing against Nick, Dan, and Richard. I mean, all three of those guys are amazing people. Like especially Nick. You know, um, Nick is actually the reason why I have really high standards of myself and how I kind of project, you know, my voice on
Right.
whether it be live or on a record. Because he really shot me straight. Like Nick never bullshit me. And at the time I was like, God damn, this guy's such a fucking dick. But like it ended up paying off like later down the road because it's
Right.
like, I always held myself to like a much higher standard. Like if I thought like maybe things didn't sound as good as I wanted them to, like even to this day, like I'll still be hard on myself about certain things. But then I just remember it's like if I have a bad night, I have a bad night. Like I'm not trying to be a rock star right now, And it's not about that. It's about just having fun with my friends and having a good time, a good night, and we just move on from it. But you know, after that last show, you had called me, and I was like, "Yeah, this is going to be a thing." I was committed to making that work because I came into that practice session you guys had, I think, with your former singer at the time, and I heard what would be knife, and I was like, "This is fucking incredible." And so I went, and you were like, that we want to try you out. I was like, holy shit, yeah, definitely, 100%, I'm on board. Because it was just it checked every box for me. As a singer, I was like that's the kind of music I want to play. That's the kind of band I want to be a part of. And so we did, and we played a show a week later because you
Yeah.
guys
I
had a
think we played a show at a Culture Room a week later.
oh, it was that skate park,
Oh,
remember?
skate
With
park. Right.
all the
Sorry.
chips. Yeah, we threw all. I had that box of stale chips.
Yes.
Uh, Ernesto's amp went out,
Yes.
or it was his pedal board, or there was a short somewhere in
Yeah.
his equipment. I think we only got through like 3 or 4 songs, and his gear was going out, and so it was like I had to kind of think on my feet. So I had like this box of stale potato chips that I took from Subway that my boss just handed to me, and he's just like, "Are you hungry?" I'm like, "There's like 40 bags of potato chips in here, dude. What am I gonna do with this?" And so, sure enough, dude, like I just threw it down the half pipe because we played
I
on
remember
top of
that
that
shit.
half pipe,
That was great.
and all the kids started throwing potato chips at each other, and then we got banned from the venue. But then everybody loved us.
And thus a fan base was born.
Yeah, that was a
Off
good show.
potato
All
chips.
things considered.
Great.
Well, sometimes it requires critical thinking, man. I was like, what do I do here, man? And at the time, dude, I was unhinged, I mean, I
Dude,
was
you were
unhinged.
you were a tornado, dude.
Well, here's the thing, right? Like I went through like two particular phases in SOB because again, I went back in time in my head and like analyzed all of this stuff. And I was like, for like 2004 until the time that you took a brief hiatus from the band and we had Dan, up until that point, I was like, I took it so seriously, like I was on a mission from like God or some like otherworldly deity to like be this like super like just insane frontman of a metal band, and so I would sit there and I'm like, I'd do the pacing. Remember the fucking pacing? Like there was
Yeah.
something like wrong with me clinically.
Of
It
course.
was like I was the most out of place person in the band because it's like you or even Ernesto and Raph like looked like these respectable people, and like here I
Oh,
am with
Raph
like
barely knew English, first off. Remember that. Raph was still learning English at the time, too. So it's like,
apparently, so according to Cody, apparently he speaks like fluent English now, which I
yeah,
don't know.
He does.
He does.
I saw Raph at Metallica 3.5 years ago. We met up at Metallica. And yeah, we hung out a couple minutes. And dude, he's fluid. He's pretty good.
That's insane to
That's
me, dude.
amazing.
That would blow my mind. I don't think I'd be able to process that, you know.
I was stunned.
But no, man. So like, I'd sit there and I just remember like just pacing back and forth, like the song goes out to all you people that ever wanted to kill your fucking parents in their sleep. The song is called Knife. I'm just like, I look back at that and I'm like, what the fuck was wrong with this guy? Like, what the fuck was wrong with me? Like, and you were supposed to be the adult in the fucking band. So it's like you were supposed to be the one that took my toys away when I became unhinged and you failed at your job.
I threw my hands up at some point. No, the thing is, too, I even struggle too sometimes dealing with it because, like, as you know, me, I come from a more conservative background. I was a Christian, and I was pretty conservative in certain ways. So it was kind of I was kind of going through a lot of that. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
I had my values and my morals and stuff, but I'm in this band where my lead singer is fucking like the second thing to Satan, and
Jesus, dude. I don't know.
I
And
embrace Satan.
well, but then it was like so I went from that, right? So I went from like that phase, which was like the first year, and then like in '05 when you rejoined the band, it went from being that to I started mixing Jägermeister with everything.
Oh,
And that was like a whole different animal in and of itself. And it was just part of the problem, dude. I wouldn't say it was a problem, but it was just I went from being in a project, and again, this isn't a slight against Nick. I still like am grateful that he took
I worked with Nick for a while too. I played his band for a little while. A year
Oblivion.
later, Oblivious Signal.
I didn't know that. I never knew
I
you
did
were.
a couple gigs and stuff with him and recorded them with him when I was doing two bands at the time.
Was Christina in the band or was Eric still in the band?
No. It was Eric. Eric still doing vocals at the time.
Yeah. So like with Nick, it was like I went from being in a scenario where I was so critical, and then I do Sense of Being, and then you had the Insomniac guys and the Osiris
Oh,
guys,
that's
and
so
you had
dude.
all these people were just like, dude, you're amazing, dude, you're amazing, dude, you're so sick, dude. And what do you think that does to an 18-year-old's brain, dude, when you have like a billion people coming up to you telling you that you're basically
And then go to your head.
yeah, so dude, I swear, I never intended for that to happen, but it was just, you have this guy who was like, again, I was really introverted before all that
Mhm.
stuff, dude. I was
Yeah.
really like, repressed. I was really reserved, and like, now all of a sudden I'm doing everything that I wanted to do, and things are happening so fast, and it just, yeah, dude, my fucking head exploded, and then like, at the time, I had uncontrollable anger issues. So shit went sideways. You always had to do damage control. Like, I feel bad for you, dude. Like looking back on it, I'm like, how did this guy do this, dude? Like, if anybody deserves a Nobel Peace Prize, it's you, man. Like, people have no idea. like if anybody knew the kind of shit that you had to put up with and like actually manage successfully, mind you, like you'd be named ambassador to some third world country to prevent like it's skill, man. I give you all the credit in the world for that because it wasn't easy to do, but I learned a lot. I mean, honestly, nowadays, dude, or even when I got in that band with in Nakavalna with
Right.
Art, Kevin, and Rob, I mean, it was just, I mean, all that learning experience kind of came into play there.
It's like anything. You get older, you get wiser, you gain wisdom. I mean, it's like anything else, and you just take the good and you delete the bad, and that's how you just that's life in general, you know.
Yeah, because it was just like one extreme to the other with me when during that period, because it was like I was super reserved and I kind of sort of like took myself way too seriously in the beginning. And then I was, obviously, I hung out with Katie and Nevi. Like, Katie and I dated for a while, and like, she was always like, "Dude, you need to loosen the fuck up." And everybody's like, "Dude, you need to loosen the fuck up." And then I loosened the fuck up, and people were like, "Dude, you need to go back to being just I liked you better when you were just some maniac that just paced around on stage and just didn't say too much."
You try to please everybody. You can't, and when you start doing
Yeah,
that, dude, that's just a problem.
yeah, it is what it is. I mean, we weren't that bad, I guess, but it was just, it was too much. It was a lot of clout very quickly.
Yeah,
And and that's really what it was. And so like I didn't realize that, like, I mean it's not so much that I didn't care, I just genuinely didn't realize what the perception was.
right.
'Cause these are things you look at later. It's like, like nowadays it's like I'll give you an example. Like there's a club that we played at um in Seattle about almost 2 years ago now. Yeah, it was about actually 2 years ago. And we were like the last band on. It was on a Monday and we played. It was a death cover band that we kind of closed for, and the guy that was there, he was the sound guy slash I don't know, and he was just being a total dickhead. I mean, through and through, like just, I mean, it was just really bad. Now, old me would have essentially, told this guy to take a flying fuck on a rolling donut, but I was just like, but I thought about, I was like, dude, I'm like, I got three other guys on this stage I'm representing. I have another, my guitarist is in, or at the time he was in like, I think two other bands. um, and I don't want to negatively represent them and like, bring them into a situation that's unnecessary. So I just let it roll off my back. Like, I don't care. Again, it goes back to, I do this to have fun now, and we do have a lot of fun. We write good tunes. The song, the lyrics and the songwriting's definitely changed up quite a bit. But you know, we write, all of our songs are basically first world problem songs now. It's
Yeah.
no, really, it's the kind of stuff that you think about when you're older. It's like, well, how do I get mad these days? Like, what pisses me off? So I'll tell you a funny story. So Jay, he got into a minor car accident at Costco.
Oh,
And
oh,
like, I don't know if I'm pretty sure Florida Costco's are the same as Washington Costco's in the sense that like everybody drives like shit.
yes.
Everyone's trying to like zoom like 60 miles an hour down the lane to get a
I was
parking
there
spot.
3 weeks ago. Yeah, that's like shit.
Yeah, it's nuts, right? So he gets hit by I think it was was it a Miata? I think it was some girl driving a Miata, and you know, his dad, God rest his soul, at the time, when he was still around, I was kind of having this writer's block because again, it's actually harder for me to write these days because like I got to think about stuff that really kind of fuels that aggression, even if it's
Yeah.
just kind of pseudo aggression.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, so I hear him arguing. We're at practice and we practice in his house, which by the way, that's great. I love practicing in a garage versus a rehearsal studio. It makes
Yeah.
all the difference. And
Wait, you don't miss solid sounds?
no, I got really, dude, I'm still mad that you got accused of stealing bass strings. That shit pissed me off.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
remember that?
Of
I
all
was,
people. Yeah.
yeah, I was not happy about that. So
Yeah.
anyhow, um, I went to we're at his house and I hear his dad arguing with the insurance. the claims adjuster, and he's going on this tirade about because they nowadays they deal in percentages. It's not about accepting 100% fault or no fault. It's we'll pay 80% of this and you're going to cover the other 20%, or we'll pay this percentage, blah blah blah. So he freaks out and he's like, no, that's not going to happen. I'm not paying 20% of shit. In fact, she's going to fucking pay this amount, and she's going to pay me this much in restitution in addition to that. And I mean, his dad was just, we joked around and we said he was like the best hostage negotiator that never got his shot, because, he was the kind of guy that, like, if someone came at you with a deal that you couldn't refuse, he'd find a way to refuse it and make it better on his end.
Mhm.
And so he's just like, I'm not paying for some Italian sports car bitch to fucking blah blah blah. And I was like, that's it. That's the fucking song. And so we had this killer banger, and the whole song is about, like, the bridge of the song. I mean, tell me if this doesn't pull your heartstrings nowadays, dude, being 41. The bridge is me screaming, if my insurance goes up, you are going down. Right. But you relate to that shit,
Yeah,
right?
definitely great stuff.
That's it, dude. It's
We have
silly.
come this far.
It's cheesy, I guess, but I mean, dude, again, it's fun. We feel it, and I love it.
We go from
It's a good.
relapse to this shit now.
Yeah, right, exactly, dude.
Why don't you write about politics for crying out loud? That should anger you.
No, honestly, dude. So, and that whole thing, I've unsubscribed, dude. I'm gonna tell you, I am free and clear of all of that. I've let it go. I've
What's
stopped
that?
letting the political climate, so to speak.
Really?
Yeah, I just let it go. Here's the thing, man. You'll get people that are like, I hear this all the time. Oh, there's so many sheep out there, and there's so many, there's so many sheep that do this or mindlessly follow this or mindlessly follow that. And I hate to break it to you, we're all sheep. And the reason I say that is because, dude, we've all turned on, whether it be Fox News or CNN or whatever your brand of bullshit is. And, you know, we've all fallen victim to some narrative or another, whether it be like some outrageous headline that we don't even bother to read the article. We just see the headline and get all pissed off about it. It's like, that's the whole thing, dude. It's like, we're being primed to be pissed off and hate each other, and it's like everybody has a special interest in that. There's an interest in division these days. And, like, I've just kind of gotten to the point in my life where I just turn it all off, dude, because I don't subscribe to one particular brand of whatever. My beliefs are all over the place.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean,
I think
I'm
you and I
all,
are kind of the same boat with political stuff. I'm like, I don't know. It's and one of the themes of this podcast the last couple months, especially since the since the election in November, and of
yeah,
course Joe Biden inaugurated in January, is that I'm burnt out. I'm burnt out because and this is the problem with being in the middle. You get all the bullshit on both sides. I'm burnt
yeah,
out. So I made a decision back in January, February to essentially turn down the volume.
yeah. That's what I
I'll
did. And
get it when I get it when I can.
yeah, I'm much happier for it, man. I turned it off. Um, I really, I try not to, like, when my wife and I talk about it, because it's just all over the place, dude. It's like nowadays you're either a communist or a Nazi. There's no in between.
Yeah, it's only between. Yeah, and
It's
no
just
one
like,
wants to get into a intellectual discussion. They want to be. They don't even want to talk. They just want to be heard, speak their piece, and leave. Like just smash shit and leave. And that's not how. Look, we all got to share this country. Make it work for all of us.
yeah, yeah, dude. And
You
if we
know?
don't start figuring that out soon, we're all fucked. Like, I hate to break it. It doesn't matter which political party you subscribe
Yeah.
to, man. It's or whatever your personal beliefs are. Like, if we can't just go back to shooting the breeze with each other and just having, like, normal discussions and just treating each other like people, we're all fucked, dude. I mean, that's just the reality of it. It's just I don't subscribe to hate. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news to anybody that may be a self-proclaimed Democrat, Republican, or what have you, but
Right.
both sides of the aisle are guilty of peddling hate because it drives ratings and it drives sensationalism, and I don't partake in it, man.
What more than anything else for me, I'm anti-oppression. Like I don't. This is one of the reasons why, especially when it comes to like, religion and that thing. You've seen this for years, and it's continued really getting away from a lot of that because a lot of what I've seen in recent years too. And I guess also when you become an adult, you see things with your own goggles. You take the good, leave the bad. I'm seeing a lot of bad in a lot of that shit, man. Like now, I'm not saying religion's bad. I'm just saying that the things that from people I was close to and some of the rhetoric now, it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, stop.
Yeah.
I have to get away with it, dude. But the thing is, that's all tied into the political shit too. That's the thing.
Yep. It sure is, man. And it's like either you subscribe to one extreme or you're the antithesis of it, like entirely. And it's like, like for me, like I'm a big Second Amendment guy.
So
Like
am I.
I'm unapologetic for it. Like, I'm not over the top as far as like my personal stash, but I'm a big Second Amendment guy. But at the same time, I'm pro-choice. I don't give a shit what women do with their bodies. It doesn't have anything to do with me. So fucking whatever, dude. I'm a very live and let live person, man. Like you're anti-oppression. I'm very pro-rights. It's like, I don't think stripping or letting the government interfere with your, freedoms is a good thing ever. Any type of regulation. Any type of regulation, in my opinion, is a slippery slope.
Right.
Especially when it's the government doing it. So it's just, I don't know, man.
I think you and I discussed something off the record, like with 2A, for example. Like I'm pro 2A. I think the real argument, really more than anything else, is more so, and I guess regulation kind of plays in some degree because who should be able to, what kind of guns should be on the streets, or, who should be able to have guns? Like, should the people who are mentally ill have access to that? Those are the real arguments. But in terms of gun rights and be able to get a firearm as a citizen, you should have a right to get that.
Yeah, no, I mean that's just what it is, dude. And I don't know.
And I'm not even a gun guy. I don't own a gun. I don't plan on buying a gun either. I'm not even a gun guy. I'm pro rights.
Yep, that's it. And that's exactly it for me, dude. I just want people to have basic freedoms, and then that's everything, I want, I mean, the same thing we've written and sang about for years, dude. I want people to be treated equally, but at the same time, like I want to be able to enjoy the freedoms that are granted to me without having to worry about just stupid bullshit. That's all.
Yeah. One more thing, let you go. One more thing. We could do this again soon, definitely. Fear Factory, new album coming out in June. Obviously, this ain't the same band. You and I are huge fans of theirs. You definitely, probably even more so to some degree. They are easily my top 3 or 4 bands of all time. But they are the most frustrating band I've ever followed. In terms of, this is the most disorganized band in terms of their legal shit I have ever seen, and it's not even close. It's frustrating.
So, do you want to go down that rabbit hole for a little bit? Because I got some stuff. So, basically, this is what I've gathered, right? Because occasionally I'll just kind of troll around and see what's going on, check up on things. I had a 30-minute Skype conversation with Burton a couple years ago now.
Right.
So I talked to him kind of in length. I tried to actually exclude Fear Factory from the conversation, believe it or not, because it wasn't essentially the Watchers thing. Mm-hmm. So out of respect for him as an artist, I tried to not oogle over Fear Factory because I know he gets that a lot. It's like, hey,
but they're amazing.
Yeah, they are. But the thing about it is, like, just like we just talked about, he's in a different place in his life, Burton, and he'll even tell you he's not a metal guy, and he hasn't been for a long time.
If you follow his Instagram, which I do, you'll know that.
Yeah, he's not a metal
guy. Yeah.
And so, Basically what happened was he got the band back to, him and Dino put the band back together in '09, right?
Right.
And so we got Mechanized in 2010, which, hey, that was probably one of their best records ever, dude. Who would have
Yep.
thought that banger was going to come
My
out,
favorite
right?
personally of them. But
Yeah. Yeah, it was insane. It was a really, really amazing album. But apparently what happened, and it had a lot to do with personal bankruptcies kind of affecting how the band could move forward. So again, I'm kind of paraphrasing, and these are just the bits and pieces that I put together. Um, you know, Burton filed, or he declared bankruptcy, and he didn't list, because when you declare bankruptcy, you have to list all of your assets, like everything. Like this cigar that I'm smoking right now, it still exists. It has to be listed on
she
my
listed
bankruptcy
right.
report. So if they want my half smoked stogie, they can take it from me, if they feel that they need to. So he didn't list Fear Factory or the trademark ownership of Fear Factory on the bankruptcy report.
Oh,
So what happened was when he declared bankruptcy, what ended up happening was he thought that the royalties that Christian and Raymond were owed was nullified. And so he wasn't paying Christian or Raymond anything. They weren't getting a cut. And so I guess Dino had to declare bankruptcy at some point too. And
right.
what ended up happening after that was, thank you. You can see my
I can
face.
see you. Hey,
Yes.
it got dark real
So
quick. By
yeah, it does. So they declared, or he declared bankruptcy, and then Dino, I think, had to declare bankruptcy, and the Christian and Raymond were like, "Yo, we're owed money, a lot of money. You guys have been touring with the name, and we haven't seen shit." And so after Genexus came out, I guess Chris and Raymond
2012.
were like, "Yeah." So they did the Demanufacture tour, which, by the way, was by far the best I've ever seen them. So, you know, I mean, that was an amazing show. That was in 2016,
Mm-hmm. I
and
missed that concert actually. I missed that show.
yeah, no, it was a good one, man. And you know, after that, they just Chris and Ray filed a lawsuit, and they called Bert out on his shit. They're like, "Hey, dude, I love Burton Bell, dude. He's my personal hero. But
Right.
heroes are flawed, and it's just
Yeah.
what it is." And so they called him out on that. They went to court
Here's a
pretty.
question though. But
Sure.
why wasn't Dino also part of that lawsuit? Was he? Unless he was part of that lawsuit, because he was technically also.
No, he was. That's the thing. They all went to court,
Okay.
and
Okay. Okay.
I guess at the time when they went to court, Dino was pissed off because he didn't really know, or at least he didn't care enough to really dig into this whole past bankruptcy bullshit and the money owed to the other two members. So they fought it in court, and Burton lost his trademark. So they recorded this record that we're just now hearing in 2017, but they weren't allowed to release it. And so after bankruptcy, I guess Dino got divorced, and he had to declare bankruptcy again.
Yeah. So
And
he got divorced. His wife and I follow each other still on Facebook.
oh,
Jen.
interesting.
Yeah.
Huh?
She's getting remarried now too, apparently.
You're
So
everywhere, man. You see all.
I don't know.
Yeah. So I guess so that happened, and they were Burton. I guess Burton and Dino weren't talking over that. I mean, I can imagine. Can you imagine if me, you, or Ernesto and Raph had to go to court and fight over a trademark and personal bullshit? Kind of. I mean, yeah. I mean, I can imagine that kind of tension. It's just it's terrible. So anyhow, they went and fought it out in court. Bert and Dino hadn't talked to each other in a long time, and uh, I guess Dino, after Burton lost everything, I guess an opportunity came up where Dino was able to purchase the trademark, or all the whole thing, like the entire be sole owner of Fear Factory. And I guess something happened where I don't know if Burton saw that as like an act of deception, or I don't fucking know. Don't really care. But Bert was like, "I'm burnt out. This band's like, I came back to this band apparently for money in '09 because he was broke and he had just gone through a bankruptcy. That's why we got Mechanized and the other records, which that kind of just came out in a couple interviews that they just did. And Bert threw in the towel. He's like, "Dude, I'm done. Like, I don't want to do Fear Factory anymore. I'm done with metal." I just want to focus on the watchers. Like Fear Factory's not for me anymore. And Dino, like I understand it from both sides. Like if you take all the bullshit and the lawsuits out of it, Burton's what in his 50s now, and he started singing in an era where you didn't have YouTube videos and vocal coaches that specialized in metal. And same thing with me. Like I learned like some traditional singing, but the screaming and stuff was all improvised. I learned my own techniques and I mean, that's the thing. Like nowadays, when you listen to metal vocalists, like they all sort of sound similar because they have that technique down where they're not really screaming; they're just making a loud enough kind of gurgle in their throat to make it sound like they are, which is better. I mean, they'll have a longer career as a result of it, but. I mean, Burton spent years blowing out his voice, and he couldn't do the live stuff anymore.
He has
Which,
some shows where he just sounded like shit. Like so the last time I saw him live, he just and I love I love Burton Bell, but he sounded horrible.
yeah, it's terrible, and I feel bad for the guy, dude. I mean, imagine having to do a whole tour like that, several tours, where that you can't hit these notes, you can't sing these songs anymore. I mean, it's got to be painful, dude. So he threw in the towel, and he's like, "I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore." And then Dino, I mean, to his credit, I mean, he put a lot of money in to get the trademark back, and these guys don't. I mean, when you think about it, dude, when you're a career musician and you've been doing this for 30 years,
Yeah.
what do you have afterwards? You're not going to fucking go and take on a trade. You're not going to go and you're not going to go back to school. I mean, maybe, but
In real estate, I guess.
yeah. So, I mean, yeah, real estate, that's a good one. But, the thing about it is that's what he has. Dino has Fear Factory. That's what he's banked on his whole adult life is that band got signed when they were in high school. And this is it's so hard to build a brand where the climate nowadays is it's not so streamlined anymore where you get signed and it means something. Now you're in a climate where if you're a musician and you want to make it, if you're that fucking crazy, you almost have to be as good, if not way better, an entrepreneur than a musician in order to find clever and unique ways to monetize your music in a way that makes it sustainable. I mean, and I don't even know.
It seemed to say that when we were doing the band together 15 years ago, that was the last chance to really do it in a way where it was traditional.
Yeah, and even then it was on the decline, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, even then it was on the decline. Like getting signed back then, it still didn't mean that you were going to be successful. I mean, a lot of bands got signed and dropped and ended up in debt to the record labels, because they put all this money in and it's basically a loan. So it's you have all this outstanding money and it's you're not making any money. And this goes back to what my original point was, when we talked about growing up and, I could not imagine myself right now, if somebody wanted me to be a touring musician right now, you'd have to pay me a guaranteed six-figure salary, which isn't going to fucking happen today. Obviously, it's not from an ego position. It's from
Security.
you cannot pay me enough money to be away from my family that long and not have anything to show for it.
Right.
And it's the same thing with the other guys in my band. Jay and I talk about it all the time where it's I want to be in the comfort of my own house. I don't mind playing shows out of town here and there if that ever were to happen. But it's no label can afford us. And that's, again, it's not egocentric. It's just we have lives, we have bills and responsibilities and things of that nature. And I think for Dino, he has an established brand where he might, who knows, it might be good, dude. I mean, I'm personally skeptical, but it has been done in the past with limited success. I mean, Killswitch Engage, for example, they did well. I think I mean, from a fan, I mean, I know this isn't going to happen, but I think from a fan perspective, if I could have it my way, I'd say release the record, do one more Fear Factory tour, farewell with Burton, and then throw in the towel. It's not going to happen.
No,
but
I think Burton looks done. I go on Instagram, I see him. He looks disconnected from all that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's got, I think, 3 kids, and he's got, I mean, his whole thing is that he's over all of it, dude, and you can't blame him for that. And you can't blame Dino either. He has this brand where it's so hard to establish a brand like that in that genre of music already. But he has this brand where, okay, like I don't have Burton, but I still have the name. So I can still tour with the name and my notoriety and maybe make some of the money back. So from a business perspective, it makes sense for him. And I hope he's successful. I mean, who knows? Maybe he'll get a new vocalist and it'll blow us all out of the water. Maybe it'll actually be like really good. Who knows?
So the lawsuit that Christian and Raymond filed back in
Mhm.
2016, did they get anything out of that?
Yeah, apparently they won big. I mean, I don't have a dollar amount, but yeah, they won it all. I mean,
Which they
they got
should, to
screwed.
be honest with you. If they were supposed to have money tethered to them, they should have got that. It was
Yeah, they got
fair.
screwed. I'm just calling it as I see it. I mean, I love Burton to death. You know that. I mean, like, I fucking oogled over the fucking guy for years and years.
Yeah.
Having that Skype conversation with him was really cool. I loved it, but it's like, it is what it is. I mean, it's, you play with matches, you get burnt, and that's what he did. He tried kind of gaming the system a little bit because the whole thing is like, he needed the money, and that's why he did the band with Dino. And he's like, okay, well, if I list Fear Factory on the bankruptcy report and I lose the trademark, well, then I'm fucked. I can't do anything. So I think, I mean, I'm assuming that's what happened at that point. But again, that's just everything I've gathered from all of it. So
Yeah. It the whole thing always sounded complicated, and it should have
it's a
been.
mess. They're worse than Metallica, and that's not a light statement. you
Mhm.
know, they
Listen,
are they are they're worse than, they have the most drama of any band I've ever seen, dude.
yeah.
It's crazy to me. I wish everybody success. I mean, that Watchers record was pretty cool. There were a couple cool tracks on it. I mean, it's not really my thing too much, but there were some cool tracks that I really liked on it. That it's still Burton's vocals. And that's really the stuff he should be doing anyway. I mean,
Yeah.
really now at his point in this point in his life and his career, it's like he can't do
He's
the
in his
live shit.
50s now, right? He's in his 50s.
Yeah. He can't do the live shit anymore. And it's not his fault. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, the guy's a legend in his own right. It's just, I mean, he was one of the most aggressive singers out
Hmm.
there. Like, as a vocalist, like, I know, like, to get those, like, like mid low gutturals, it puts a
Right.
lot of strain. I mean, like, it's not easy to do. And to do that day in and day out for, what was he doing it for 20 years, 25 years almost, something like that. I
More than
mean,
that. Well, 30
yeah.
years, really.
Yeah, so I mean, he's done his time, dude. And I don't think either of them are wrong for maintaining their positions. But I mean, at the end of it, we'll get one more record. I think what Dino should do is when he does decide on a singer, maybe take a couple tracks off that record, like Killswitch did when they got Howard Jones, just to kind of put some of the doubters to rest.
Hmm.
No pun intended there. Um,
Here's my question: can Burton make money off this album?
no, I don't think so because he lost the trademark, dude. I don't think he's entitled to anything.
Oh,
I mean, I don't know the legalities. I'm not going to sit here and act like I do. I mean, who would probably be a good person to ask that question to would probably be Dan of Vizina.
oh, my dad. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think him and Rob Flynn are tight, right? Still.
Yeah, they talk from time to time. Well, it's funny.
Yeah.
Like I got to finish an interview that Rob Flynn did in his podcast with Dio Cazares back in October last year. I finished
Yeah.
half the interview. I haven't finished it yet, so it's on my phone still. I gotta check it out because they go into detail. Because at that time, I believe that whole thing had just dropped the decision on the lawsuit and all that. So
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
they were communicating. I mean, Burton and Dino, I mean, they hadn't talked in 3 years since like the lawsuits took place, because obviously it's going to put a strain on them too. I mean, imagine like, you're getting
So they're
ready
not
to.
cool either. Burton and Dino not cool either. So they're
Uh,
not cool.
oh no, no! If you go on Dino's Twitter, and the thing about it is like Dino's always been notoriously hard to work with, so it's kind of
Yeah.
like,
Oh yeah.
I think the truth is somewhere in the middle, as it usually is, but like, um he's always everyone that's ever worked with him, has always said like, dude, the guy's a fucking piece of shit scumbag that's like impossible to deal with. Like he's just not, and he'll kind of come out and say his piece and whatever. I mean, so I don't know, man. I mean, it's kind of beyond me,
Yeah.
but I mean, it is what it is, man. But no, they weren't cool. I mean, ever since the lawsuits happened and all that whole thing took place, they kind of lost contact. I think they said the last time they talked was like early 2018,
Wow.
and it's 2021 now, and this record's just now coming out. So
It's funny because they don't talk, and none of them talk to the other two original members, Christian and Raymond. So no one, the whole band is just fucking a whole pile of shit. It's just like no one really has interest in talking to each other at all. It's really
it was
sad how the band's turned
all
out.
attorneys, man. I mean, imagine that, but I mean, at the same time, again, it goes back to what I said. There's a lot of earning potential on the name alone. If you say Fear Factory's coming to town, I mean, you're still going to pack a house. I mean, that demanufacture tour that they did at El Corazon over here in Seattle. I mean, you couldn't squeeze another body in that place. And El Corazon's it's a decent sized club. It's bigger than the Culture Room. So, I mean, they had a full house. I mean, they had a really successful last tour with Burton. So, I mean, it's a positive note to end on, I think. I mean, it was really well done. I mean, you could tell that they had to kind of dub vocals in for him, like the cleans and stuff. And,
Yeah.
you could tell that he kind of had to resort to doing that, which, it is what it is, dude. That's just the music industry for you.
Yeah.
Singers blow their voices out all the time. I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
So I'm looking at now at the album. It's still only one song released so far. It's Disruptor, which is solid.
yeah,
Solid song.
yeah, it's a good track. I like it. It's I think the full record's coming out mid-June, so we only got a month.
14th.
Yeah, so we'll have a full record here shortly, so it'll be interesting to hear it. I mean, I'm excited. I mean, I'm grateful I'm getting one last album out of it. I didn't even expect it.
Right.
After all the initial talks where the band had kind of fallen apart, and Christian came out publicly and he's like, they lost the trademark, it's over, it's done. Because he was the one that kind of announced the breakup. Because I think what happened, from what I can, again, this is from what I can gather, none of this is entirely substantiated. This is just me being an internet lurker and just kind of digging into it occasionally. I think Christian and Raymond offered like, hey, if you guys are interested in doing the band together, we'll drop all this shit and we'll tour as Fear Factory. And I guess Burton and Dino told them to go pound sand. So, oh well.
It's funny if hypothetically that worked out, where all four guys worked out a deal where they just do one more tour, dude, they make a lot of money on that. I think, especially coming out of COVID.
A lot of people would
come out of COVID.
Yeah, a lot of people want to. I mean, dude, the demand for the original four is actually really high. I mean, it's I actually thought the best lineup of the band was with Hoagland, dude. When Mike Heller's really good on drums, and he's a really, he's a cool kid. He's super humble, but like when they had the monster powerhouse lineup that was Byron Stroud and Gene Hoagland, it was like, holy shit, dude, these guys aren't fucking around. And so when they came out and they did all that with Dino, and I mean, it was kind of like, they breathed new life into the band, and then the Industrialist came out, and ironically, what's funny is I hated the Industrialist. Like I hate the Recharger, the single I thought was really good.
Yeah,
but I didn't like the record at all. I thought it was really just, I don't know. It was just it felt lifeless to me, and it wasn't just
faith. That's it.
Yeah, I didn't. Even it didn't have anything to do with the program drums. I mean, it was what it was. But it was just the actual songwriting and how they structured it. Just didn't hit home with me. It sounded like a bunch of Fear Factory B-sides.
Yeah.
So I mean, and then Genexus came out, and I'm like, okay, this is a cool record.
Genexus,
I liked it a lot.
I have not really listened to Genexus much to really get a true feel of the record. I need to listen to a record again. I have heard a couple of songs, obviously, but I haven't really had a chance to really hear it. So
it's much better. It's much better than the Industrial. It's not as good as Mechanized, but it's much better.
Amazing. Mechanized is my favorite record over there. Period. So even more obsolete, which if you can believe that shit.
Yeah, I liked Archetype. I did. For what
You
it was
can't
at
find
that
those
time.
records on anywhere. Like Archetype and Transgression, you can't find those records anywhere.
Yeah. So what happened with that? I guess the label went under, and they haven't been able to obtain rights for any of those songs, dude. The only place you can find those tracks now is YouTube. If you go on YouTube, you can
Oh, I
hear
have the
the record.
CD, of course.
No, I don't have any of that anymore, dude. All that shit got lost in moves and everything else.
My buddy James, who's another, you met him before, a big fan also of Fear Factory, has a tattoo, all that. He had to load it on his phone. He had to load the albums on his phone to listen to it.
Yeah, what's funny is I thought Transgression was a cool record. I mean,
I love Transgression.
it didn't come, it was very different. And I love the fact that it kind of showcased more of Burton's talents. That's what I liked about it. It was
Yeah.
different. The Industrialist to me was like, I think the Industrialist is my least favorite record they ever did by far.
Yeah.
I hated the record that much. I was like, damn, dude, they really don't have much gas in the tank, I guess. And then Genexus came out, and so far this new record sounds like it could be okay. I mean, when
Yeah.
I talked to Burton, he said it was he liked it better than Genexus.
Mm-hmm.
He said it sounded better, that it was sitting in limbo, and he loved it. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how it sounds.
If you
But
want to, we can review the album when come on the podcast. Review the album.
hey, dude, if you're willing to have me back on, bro, I'm
Yeah.
I'm always down to have a
Sometimes.
stogie and have a chat, man. We can
Yes,
make it
sir.
a thing. You and well,
That was good. That was awesome. Hold on.
yeah.
Just,